Hello everyone. Welcome back to more fun times with me grinding out for the post game. I mean, let's be perfectly honest here. This isn't exactly the first time the series has really become known for that. By a long shot. Hi there. Okay. I was not expecting I could run into this many here. I usually don't run into more than 2 or 3 usually, because they come with other creatures, but hey, far be it from me to say no. Don't have enough for critical claim, unfortunately, but hey, whatever. It's not like getting experience is hard in this place. But I could still luck out here. That's 2 that have stuck around so far. 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow. One, 2, 3, okay, 3, 4. It doesn't matter. I've won. Yeah. Dragon Nino can basically just decimate everything. Also, I didn't know that Nino was a Manakete in secret, but hey, maybe there's some stuff about her origin that was hidden from her? She didn't realize the truth until she got a Dragonstone? Interesting. Whatever. But man. Level up. 12 HP. 13 MP. Kingdom Hearts. 5 Strength. 3 Resilience. 4 Stamina. 3 Agility. 5 Wisdom. 4 Luck. Level up. Tifa gets 7 HP. 14 MP. 5 Strength. 3 Resilience. 5 Stamina. 6 Agility. 2 Wisdom. 7 Luck. Level up. Layla gets 13 MP. Kingdom Hearts. 3 Strength. 2 Resilience. 2 Stamina. 7 Agility. 4 Wisdom. 3 Luck. Another pair of living shoes. Yeah, at this point we don't really need any more. I am kind of interested in the fact that my stealing has become this good just with 1 thief. Because in the original game, you needed like 3 thieves with like at least level 40 in your team, if not 4 of them, in order to get a decent chance at stealing items consistently. That does not seem like it's the case here. So yeah, like I was mentioning before, I mentioned my general thoughts on the 2D games. It was very brief, but you probably got the gist of my feelings on it all the same. But what about the 3D era, starting with Dragon Quest VIII? I mentioned that the classic era is gone forever. Well, that's not completely true, but I'll get more to that in a second. Dragon Quest VIII, though. It was a big deal this coming out. The first ever 3D game. Like, it was a major big deal. Level up. Nino tries her best. And gets 1 strength, 2 resilience, 3 stamina, 4 agility, 4 wisdom, 2 luck. It was a big deal coming out. Like, major big deal coming out. And it was true for us too. We were really excited for this. It was a new era for Dragon Quest, and we couldn't wait for it. We even got a demo when when buying some certain game. I forget which one. One of the games we bought had a demo for Dragon Quest 8 though. Different regions apparently handled it differently. No one seems to remember. That's a weird mystery then, the fact that no one can remember when people got it. I don't remember. And I can't seem to find anyone online talking about it, so... Well, that sucks. Level up. Layla gets 9 MP, 4 strength, 2 resilience, 1 stamina, 7 agility, 2 wisdom, 2 luck. Now again, I'm probably going to get most of my people to 60. Because that might be seen as a bit excessive, but I think I might need it anyway. But yeah, Dragon Quest VIII. We played the demo disc first, and it was actually very good. We must have played it quite a few times leading up to the game's release. The voice acting was especially good, and it was the first game that actually used the official designs from Akira Toriyama in for the characters. They were actually able to be fully realized, and that was great. My first experience was actually pretty interesting because I wasn't sure what to expect, this being a fully realized 3D game. And, level up. 6 HP, 11 MP, 7 strength, 5 resilience, 4 stamina, 7 agility, 7 wisdom, 4 luck. However, I did start to notice a couple of things that felt very weird to me playing Dragon Quest VIII. It didn't seem that way at first, but by the time we got a bit further to the game, I started to notice that some things were drastically changed here. I saw something called holy water in the shop. And in case you aren't aware, I was aware how things had changed yet again. This is something I didn't really bring up, but in the old remasters for some of their Dragon Warrior games at the time, translation changed quite a bit for several items. The fairy water, as it used to be called, was changed to repellent. The wing of the wyvern was changed to warp wing. There's like one other item that also got its name changed drastically. Oh yeah, the Mirror of Ra was changed to the Lar Mirror for its reappearance. And I was like, yeah, I wasn't a fan of any of these name changes. They were taking all the magic out of it and making it seem like they were trying way too hard to add realism to it. Especially with the fairy water being renamed to repellent. What the fuck? Like, why? That's such a stupid, unnecessary change. But it's what happened. At first I thought it was because that's what it was called in the Japanese version. And they're just being, like, accurate to the original text, but that was not the case here. Dragon Quest VIII, changing it to holy water, it was a bit weird at first, but I preferred it. Certainly better than repellent. Level up. Tifa gets 4 strength, 3 resilience, 2 stamina, 7 agility, 3 wisdom, 7 luck. And so, they basically changed a lot of names around, however. I'd have to get into a battle just to be more specific here. So close. Tifa almost survived. Well, I mean, she did survive, but only because I'm on easy mode. Level up. That gets 4 MP, 3 strength, 1 resilience, 2 stamina, 6 agility, 2 wisdom, 3 luck. Level up. Nina tries her best. I mean, Nino. 11 HP, 2 MP, 4 strength, 1 resilience, 2 stamina, 3 agility, 5 wisdom, 2 luck. Okay, so gonna go and heal up real quick, and then let's look here. Medical herb was changed to medicinal herb, which is close enough, really. Strong medicine used to be an item that was strongly just in the spin-off games. You didn't really see this in the mainline games for a very long time. And it was called Love Water. They changed it to Strong Medicine, which is fair enough. I think I prefer that. And they added higher tier healing items starting with 8. Stuff like Special Medicine. There was also something else you could get called a Panacea, which healed HP and stats effect at the same time. Pretty neat stuff there. Magic Water stayed primarily the same. Like, that's what it was called before. The Elfin Elixir was also in the spin-offs. It was called Elf Water. They slightly changed that a bit. And Sage's Elixir was created eventually to be kind of a medium ground between Elfin and Magic Waters. Wizard Rings was changed to Prayer Rings. Again, nothing to complain about here. Antidotes changed to Antidotal Herbs, so that was different, but hey. I forget what Moon Warp Bulb was called before, but I'm fine with that too. Angel Bells used to be what you could use to get out of dungeons in the spin-off games, but now you can use them to... Oh wait, never mind, these were Sky Bells. I was thinking of Exit Bells. Yeah, this is what used to be Sky Bell. So never mind, this was in the spin-offs. A lot of this stuff was new for the series, though. And I was totally okay with that. This used to be called Leaf of the World Tree. It was called Yggdrasil Leaf. Nothing to complain about here. Repellent was thankfully changed to Holy Waters, and I was really okay with that. Fairy Water is still my technical favorite name for it, but Holy Water is close enough. And a lot of this stuff would later be introduced in Dragon Quest IX as collectibles to use to craft stuff, so in this game, you don't have a crafting system, so they just gave it other uses and stuff. And of course, this is new. The ability to increase an ally's attack power by using an item for it. Something that I really haven't used much in this game, to be honest. Even though I probably could have. At this point, it wouldn't be worth doing, since a lot of the bosses we're running into can dispel buffs, but... oh well. Warp Wing was thankfully changed to Chimera Wing, because the Wyvern enemy types were renamed to Chimeras. Which makes sense, you know. And, yeah, okay. I'm totally okay with that name. It's close enough to the original name that I really have nothing against it. This used to be called Lifestone. It's now called Diamond. I mean, obviously it's meant to be a pun on said name, but I don't have anything against it. The name fits, really, and as long as I kind of have an idea of what it does, I'm fine with it. Fading Jenny used to be Invisible Herb, so... kind of a weird name for it, honestly, but it's not bad, though. The Lyre of Ire. Now, this is one I'm not really a big fan of. This used to be called Silver Harp, I believe, is what it used to be called in the original game. In Dragon Quest III, it was called Garen's Harp, and I just think that that's a very annoying name for it. They're basically highlighting the idea that it summons monsters and stuff, but I'm not a big fan of that, though. I'm just not, sorry. Social sense use to lure monsters. Certainly memorable fragrance. No, this is new to this game. I don't remember it being in any other game prior to this, in any capacity. So... so there's nothing for me to really compare it to. It's fine, whatever. It gets the job across. The Nightlight... oh, what was it used to be called? The Lamp of Darkness, I think? It's fine, whatever. Although, you'd imagine, based on the name, it would actually dispel darkness, not actually activate it, but whatever. The Fairy Flute, when we would get the remasters, was actually named the Pixie Flute. It's not a bad name, but I always preferred Fairy Flute, so I'm glad they brought it back for this. And I forget what the books were called in the original, and I do not have the patience to look it up. I just don't. They just do personalities, whatever. It doesn't really matter to me. But for the most part, the name changes for the items I'm really fond of. I wish I could say the same for the spells, though. Yeah, starting with Dragon Quest VIII, the spell names went through an entire overhaul to be different. Heal is the same, since it's the basic heal spell. Mid-heal, however, used to be called Heal More. Full heal used to be called Heal All. And Omni-heal used to be Heal Us All. You could make the argument that the healing spells just sound more accurate now, and you'd be correct. But they also sound a lot more stilted. Zen and Zing used to be non-existent, and Zing used to be Vivify. Zing used to be Revive. Zoom used to be return. Evac used to be the outside spell. Holy Protection used to be the repel spell. Now, I'm not a fan of some of these changes, but at least they aren't offensively bad yet. Until we get to the offensive spells, anyway. Blaze, Blaze More, and Blaze Most have been changed. Let me get to Nino for this one. To Frizz, Frizzle, and Cuffrizz. Yeah. Stuff like Fireball, Firebane, and Firebolt is now Sizz, Sizzle, and Cusses. What were these names came up with by Snoop Dogg? What the fuck? Why are you saying them like this? It's so freaking stupid. Why? I've been told that this was the first attempt to add a bit more of a humorous edge to the series. Also, I have 669 NP. Nice. What's not so nice is the spell name changes. Bang is technically the same, and so is Boom, which I'm thankful for. But this one used to be called Exploded, so called Kaboom. And this is the one that really threw me off at first. Crack, Crackle, and Crack. This is actually the ice spell. It used to be called Ice Bolt, Snowstorm, and Blizzard. When I first got this in Dragon Quest VIII, I thought it was a new spell entirely, that it was Earth-themed. Because it's called Crack. You know, crack in the earth. It didn't even occur to me that this could be an ice spell at all. I mean, I hate the name, but at least says you kind of understand what it does. With this one, I wasn't clear at first. I had to get used to that. I was like, what? Like, why would you name it that? Like, that is so misleading for first-time players who aren't used to this localization. It's so bad. This used to be Ice Bolt, Snowstorm. This used to be called Blizzmost. And this used to be called Blizzard. Now, in the original game, the wind spells used to be called Infernos, Infirmore, and Infirmost. And people say that Whoosh, Swoosh, and Kuswoosh are technically better, since it's more obvious it's a wind spell. Whereas in the original, it was heavily implied to be fire-themed. You know, like Inferno. I guess they have a point, but I honestly never really cared. Infernos, I thought, still sounded like a better name overall than this. This sounds like something a little kid would call it. Oh, look, I'm using Whoosh. Isn't that cool? And I'm like, yeah, no. Then again, a lot of humor in this game feels premature, honestly. This used to be called Bee Dragon. This used to be called Sacrifice. And there's like a spell that's similar to that. Oh, I don't have it. That's right. That spell's not in this game, so I can't talk about it. This used to be called, Upper. This used to be called Increase. This used to be called Twin Hits. This used to be called Accelerate, so it's not that different, thankfully. Insulate used to be called Barrier. Magic Barrier used to be called Magic Wall. Not that different, honestly, but whatever. I think Bounce might be the same. I'm trying to remember, actually. Morph used to be called, shit, what was it? I actually forget. It used to be called something different, though. Hocus Pocus used to be Chance. This used to be called Decrease. No, it's Beat Down. This used to be called Decrease, and this used to be called, I don't remember. I think Sap was the original name, actually, come to think of it. Sap and Decrease. This used to be called Surround. This used to be called Stop Spell, obviously. This used to be called Panic All, which admittedly wasn't a very creative name either, but whatever. This used to be called Sleep. This used to be called Disperse. I do not remember what this one used to be called. I never really used it much. And I don't remember what this one was called either. This was called Awaken. And I forget what this one used to be called. I remembered most of them, though. The truth of the matter is, I was never a big fan of the spell names, and I'm still not. I tolerate it because I think at this point, old school fans like us just have to accept that this is the new standard, and it will never go away at this point. Hell, there's very few people who even remember what the old games were like. And short of going back and playing them on an emulator, you're probably never even going to know. So it is what it is. But in Dragon Quest VIII, I did not enjoy the new spell names. Spellcasting in general felt less fun because the spells were so stupid in terms of their names. Not to mention, spellcasting in general also kind of felt weak in that game compared to like earlier games. That's how I felt anyway. It never really quite felt like they were as strong as they should have been. By the end of the game, I feel like the spellcasting in general was barely holding up to the stronger enemies. And from what I understand, I wasn't the only one complaining about that either. There was a young lady named Jessica you played with, that was playable in that game. And she was your main magician. Now, most people agree that close to endgame, magic becomes less worthwhile to use, and you're probably going to be better off using her whip-type weaponry. Because it's just, especially if you have the ultimate whip, the Gringham whip, it's just doing more damage. Especially since you get an ability that lets you strike twice. So, level up. $15 MP, 4 strength, 6 resilience, 3 stamina, 5 agility, 6 wisdom, 4 luck. And I think the creators understood that magic didn't really feel all that amazing, especially by the end of the game. So in order to fix this problem, they basically made some adjustments to how stats would work in the very next game. But I'll get into the next major game, Dragon Quest IX, in a moment. Dragon Quest VIII did have an interesting narrative. Though, it's worth noting, this was coming off the tails of Dragon Quest VII, a game that I held dear because of its very gripping and complex narrative. Seriously, dude? Why'd you use that 3 times? So, Dragon Quest VIII was never going to be able to deliver compared to 7. There's just no way. 7 was too good in terms of its narrative. But I still liked it for what it was. It was decent. I certainly won't say it's bad. So the characters were the thing that really were the glue that held the game together, and were the best thing about it. The character interactions were great. I didn't mention this, but in Dragon Quest VII, Dragon Warrior 7, you got something called Party Talk, where you could just talk to your party members in the middle of as you were exploring, basically. Oh, good job. And I always enjoyed that, because it was always fun to see what the characters were saying about the current objective you were doing, and I enjoyed that a lot. And Dragon Quest VIII brought that back, and then some. It was probably the best part about the game, if I'm being honest here. I suppose I should talk about one thing that this game did, however. It was the first game since 5 that did away with the class system that the series had been using for a while. In lieu of that, each character had preset class builds, and there was a new skill point system that they replaced it with. Eventually, as you leveled up, you would get skill points, and once you got enough of them, you could put them into skill trees that were based on weaponry. Certain characters were just gifted a certain weapons, and you could put points into those categories to make yourself more effective with that weapon. So that was fun. I will say that some weapons definitely had more unique skills attached to them, though. And... okay, I'm getting rid of that. I keep saying I'm going to do it, but I never do. Level up. Tifa gets 6 MP, 4 strength, 5 resilience, 4 stamina, 5 agility, 2 wisdom, 5 luck. Level up. Layla gets 2 strength, 2 resilience, 2 stamina, 5 agility, 1 wisdom, 3 luck. So, trying to remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah, the skill points. Some weapons really did feel like they got special favor over others. For example, the hero could do swords, spears, boomerangs. You know what? I'll just bring them up. Hold on. What was the 4th one? Show me what they are, please. Okay. Oh yeah, bare fists. Forgot about that. That's something all the characters can do, is gain abilities with their bare fists. And let me just say for the record, you never want to do this. It is a terrible, terrible idea. Early on, you can get some abilities that can be kind of useful, but only for the short term. Long term, you are wasting your points. Putting, putting stuff into fisticuffs. Each character also has a unique skill set that is only applicable towards them. For example, the hero gets courage you can put points into, which gives them very unique spells, which can be useful at times. Your main attacker, Yangus, the axe fighter, can use axes, clubs, scythes, fisticuffs, and humanity. Scroll down here. Now, Jessica, the mage type, can use knives, which she can use, whips, staffs, or staves as they're called, fisticuffs, or sex appeal, because she is quite the sexy character. And the pretty boy of the group down here, a guy called Angelo, is typically a paladin sword. He can attack with weaponry, but also is good as a healer. He can use swords, bows, staves, fisticuffs, and charisma. Now, to kind of go down the list on why I say that some were definitely valued more than others. And I can make this very simple for you. Swords with the hero is pretty basic. You level this up, you're more powerful with swords, and you get various sword techniques, like Dragon Slash, Flame Slash, Metal Slash, Falcon Slash eventually, Miracle Slash, and Giga Slash. Okay, fine. There's nothing essentially wrong with swords, and you can get by with it, certainly. But let me just say for the record, there is not anything super OP you're going to be getting with swords until, like, much later in the game, though. So while it's good, it's not exactly super great. You could also train him in boomerangs, if you're more interested in making him an area of effect character. And between swords and boomerangs, you are going to have much better luck with the boomerangs, in my opinion. Boomerangs hit all enemies at once. And if you put points into boomerangs, you're going to increase your attack strength with them considerably. You also get very unique skills to use with your boomerang, like cross-cutter throw. This is less obvious, so let me just talk about them. Regular boomerang attack that does an extra attack to the first enemy. So, that's better. But later on you get power throw. Does 80% equal damage to all enemies. So it doesn't split it quite as much to every enemy on the field. Which can be really good if you just want to deal with mobs really quickly. But later on you get a skill called Firebird Throw. 100% damage to all enemies, 50% fire damage. Yeah, extra attack power. Now you do have to be careful about the fact that it is fire element, so if an enemy resists fire, that could be bad. But overall, it's still a great move. Later on, you get Super Throw. Now, here's where we're talking. Does 100% equal damage to all enemies. So, it hits all the enemies super hard. At that point, enemies, unless they have a ton of health, are going to be going down like a sack of bricks. If you progress even further, then you get a move called Stardust Throw. 75 to 85 explosive damage to all enemies. Yeah, this is interesting in that it does set damage to all enemies on the field, but it costs very little MP and is treated as a physical attack, so they can't really resist it. So that's kind of nice. And if you max out at 100 points for Boomerang, you get Giga Throw. 145 to 180 lightning damage to all enemies, and it's treated as a physical blow. It is lightning themed, so they could resist that at least, but if they don't, they're taking a lot of damage, and it only costs 15 MP. So, yeah, that's kind of nice to have. It also gives the hero a nice niche compared to anyone else. He may not always hit as hard as other people, but he certainly can hit all enemies, and hit them pretty brutally hard. The only problem is with boss fights. He might be doing slightly less damage against them, but then again, if you're using the hero with Boomerang a lot, then it's not really going to be a major problem now, is it? People say the best weapon to build up with the hero is spears, because spears tend to have the highest attack of all their weapons, and they gain a special ability called Thunder Thrust and Lightning Thrust. This move misses a lot, but Thunder Thrust has a very high chance of doing a critical hit. The later improved version of it, called Lightning Thrust, if it hits, it will always be a critical hit. This is important if you want to fight metal slimes, which you probably will. Not only that, but once you max it out at 100, you get a move called Lightning Storm. 190 to 220 lightning damage on all enemies. It's stronger than the move the Boomerang gets, even though it costs more MP to use. Pretty powerful, though, I will say that. Now, Courage, his unique attribute, teaches very unique spells. It basically makes him out to be more of a caster than a fighter. He gets Return, aka Zoom, Tingle, which can help cure ally stats effects, Holy Protection, to repel weaker foes. You get Fizzle, which can stop enemy spells. But then you also get Zap when going down this path. This is back when Zap was actually fairly useful. And it hits a whole group of enemies for a staggering amount of damage, about 80 to 90. So that's very helpful. If you progress even further, your MP cost gets reduced by 1/4 and 1/2 respectively. You also get Omni Heal if you keep going down this path, which makes him a great support healer. So that's very nice. Do keep in mind that if you're putting all your points in Courage, your weapons aren't gaining extra attack power or abilities. So while he makes for a better caster, his attack strength and overall potential with weapons goes down by a lot. A lot of people try to mix and match, put some in Courage and put some in a weapon, just so that they're not completely out in the cold there. I understand the idea behind that, to be honest, and it is probably the best way to go. For the hero, at least. When talking about Yangus, you know what, I need to be playing the game while I'm talking about this, honestly. This is what I should be doing. There we go. Now I just need to press the A button every now and then. With Yangus, this is actually, in my opinion, much of an easier choice when how to level him up with the skill points. You can do fisticuffs with him, and he can do pretty decent power. if you put 33 points into it, he even learns the skill Padfoot, which used to be called Tiptoe. So that could be interesting if you want to avoid encounters more easily. I'd say it wouldn't be worth the points, though. Because... And I forgot to get rid of the item again. Dear God. Fisticuffs to me just doesn't seem worth it for pretty much any character. But if you're going to do it with anybody, yeah, I guess it's probably going to be the good choice for this. However, there are much better choices in my opinion. Fisticuffs is by far the worst of the 4 weapon types. The second worst would probably be clubs. This is all about money. The skill choice for clubs basically makes it easier to sneak money off of enemies. They'll level up. Hero gets 16 MP, 6 strength, 3 resilience, 2 stamina, 6 agility, 5 wisdom, 3 luck. Level up. Nino tries her best and gets 1 MP, 1 strength, 4 stamina, 4 agility, 4 wisdom, 2 luck. Yengus gets skills that basically more about mostly about money, and sometimes, and that's not a good battle for this, but whatever, I don't care. Abilities are good against certain monsters, and that's about it. It really isn't great. You get certain skills that are good against certain monsters, but yeah, I'll say for the record, I personally don't like it. You can do much better than that. Just get it if you really care about money. That's it. Now, Yengus with Sice is debatably better. Because it's more about items. You can steal items from enemies with it. Now, it sounds good on paper, but let me just say for the record that the item steal rate with Yengus and 8 is very low. And you could be there for like an hour just to get a single item off something. However, if you really wanted to get items off of enemies, that could be something that you like. You do get a very powerful explosive spell called Big Banga if you max it out, but Yengus isn't exactly a mage type, so I wouldn't exactly think that'd be worth it. But the weapon type that you probably should use with him more than anything is axes. It's definitely a good choice for him. Because you get very good weapon skills, like Helm Splitter, which attack and lowers defense. You also get a skill called Hatchet Man, which for all practical purposes is a axe variant of Thunder Thrust, which the hero got with spears. So, if you want to, you can basically have two characters that are good at crits. So, basically, it's good for metal hunting, which a lot of people like to do in this game, so your crew really can't lose with that. You also get the ability to inflict paralysis with the attack at some point, as well as the ability to hit a group of enemies with your axe too, which is useful. Now, his special is humanity. Well, the hero's version gave you a lot of unique stuff with it. Yangus's is more questionable. Level up. Layla gets 9 HP, 7 MP, 4 strength, 2 resilience, 2 stamina, 4 agility, 3 wisdom, 2 luck. You get stuff like Whistle to bring in enemies. The simple heal spell. Nose for treasure, which tells you if treasure are in an area. War Cry, share magic. Eventually he gets Kabuff, which can raise everyone's defense, which is honestly the first move that comes off really useful here. Underpants Dance, which is a very silly thing for him to use that can stun enemies. At 68 points, he gets mid-heal, which is pretty pathetic, honestly. Kerplunk, which is a move that sacrifices himself to revive other party members. And he gets Golden Oldies eventually, which is a rather silly-looking group attack that does not do much damage. I would not bother with humanity. With the exception of Kabuff, you get nothing that's super useful here. Only get it if you're put points in it if you're really curious about it. I wouldn't recommend it. Basically with Yangus, axes are definitely the way to go, however. Level up. Hero gets 14 HP, 6 strength, 3 resilience, 5 stamina, 4 agility, 4 wisdom, 6 luck. Level up. Tifa gets 20 HP, nice, 9 MP, 4 strength, 4 resilience, 2 stamina, 4 agility, 2 wisdom, 4 luck. Yeah, I'm noticing that Layla and the hero are way ahead of Tifa and Nino for whatever reason. I have no idea why. That seems weird to me. Oh, I think I'm understanding now. Why do they need so much experience? Compared to Hero and Layla, though. Why? That's dumb. Oh my god, that's dumb. Anyways. So with Yangus, it's a lot easier to understand we need to put points in. Axes and if you want to put a little bit into humanity, you can, but It's probably not gonna be worth it though. But then we have Jessica. Oh boy, Jessica. You can put points into knives as a weapon type. Knives are a little bit unique in the sense that they can do damage and stats effects. They basically allow Jessica to do what the thief can kind of do with some of her physical attacks, like being able to do poison and damage. Assassin Stab we're familiar with. It can kill enemies in one shot. Good for metal hunting if you're interested in that. You can even equip swords when you get 30 points into it, because swords are kind of like stronger knives. So that's neat. You later get Toxic Sword and Sun Death. Sun Death is basically a much stronger version of Assassin Stab in that, since you can basically have a much higher chance of landing a crit. So I guess at that point you can have 3 people who are good at crits. Sadly, knives are not very high in the attack department, and since Jessica's a mage, she doesn't get much strength from her levels either. So you would be sacrificing a lot just for a little bit of utility, mostly for metal hunting. So probably not worth it. You already have like 2 people that could be good at that, so I really don't see the point in making Jessica good at it. Unless you wanted to do it as a secondary, maybe. I could see that. But it's still better than Fisticuffs, where she doesn't really get all that much out of it. Well, except for one move you get if you max it out, called Magic Burst. I'm not sure why they put a magic technique in Fisticuffs, but there you go. It's something. The rest of the stuff's pretty forgettable, though. You also have some staves, which is when you equip a staff on her. They tend to increase, like MP when you equip with them, if you put points into it. So if you really want to do more casting, this is the way to go. You also gain certain magic skills through stave skill tree as well. Stuff like accelerating speed, lowering enemies' defense, reflecting spells back, and you can even get something called Magic Barrier, which can make magic damage less effective. So, definitely made for a mage build. You even get the ability to strongly heal one ally with Caduceus, which is nice. And you get the ability to fully revive one ally when you max it out. The thing is with me, though, I never feel like spellcasting is the way to go for Jessica. It doesn't suck completely. I mean, you can get by with it, but it never really feels satisfying in this game. And by this game, I mean 8. In the early game, it might seem like it's going to be impressive, but once you get to about the second half of the game, magic starts becoming less impressive, and it's more about your attackers than anything else. Case in point, you can also put points into whips. Hold on. Level up. 11 HP, 2 MP, 4 strength, 1 resilience, 2 stamina, 6 agility, 2 wisdom, 3 luck. Level up. Nino tries her best. 10 HP, 4 MP, 4 strength, 1 resilience, 2 stamina, 4 agility, 6 wisdom, 2 luck. I think it's safe to assume that she'll never need the goddess ring again. Pretty sure, I mean. Look at how much MP she has. Whips with Jessica and 8. This is, my opinion, the way to go. Because, as far as physical weapons go, this is the best route to go with her. And despite her not getting much physical strength from her level ups, whips are still pretty good, since they can hit a whole group of enemies, not one target. And she gets attack boost as she levels it up, which helps. Whips are also decently strong in terms of attack power, and she gets a very powerful move at 23 points called Twin Dragon Lash. Twin Dragon Lash is so good. It basically is a double attack with a whip, doing double the damage. This not only is really good against groups of enemies, but it's decently good against bosses too, doing a lot of damage. Once you get this, it's basically where you're going to be using all the way to the end of the game, probably. Especially if you give her the Kringham Whip later on, and get her level really high. Level up. Hero gets 4 HP, 7 MP, 4 Strength, 6 Resilience, 3 Stamina, 6 Agility, 6 Wisdom, 5 Luck. Wow, the hero's almost to 700 health. That's insane. I mean, whips are just good. Can't really go wrong there. Now, what about her unique ability, though? Sex appeal. Aside from just being silly in nature. Is it any good? Yes. She gets the ability to blow kiss at enemies, which that might sound stupid on paper, but it's actually a really good move that actually can very effectively cause enemies to skip their turn because they're infatuated with you. That's really good. Right after, when you put 18 points into it, and all enemies have a low chance to just be charmed by Jessica, forcing them to skip their turn. Anyone who's played Pokemon will be familiar with the Pokemon skill Infatuate. This works very similar. So, yeah. For those of you who may not be aware, the sex appeal skill set is basically all about getting enemies to either be confused or charmed. So the next skill she would get is Fuddle. And of course, if we're talking sex appeal, you have to reference the Puff Puff, an ongoing joke in the series. It's an ability in this that she can use. It was introduced in 7. Oh, fuck you. I'm at such a high level. I should be able to easily run away from you. And before I forget yet again, for like the millionth time... Who has it? Someone has it. Sage's Staff, go away. I am tired of that. It'd be one thing if it was Sage's Stone, but that? No. Yeah, the rest of the stuff is fine. Wait, is it? Yeah, this doesn't have an in-battle effect. Power Shield, just in case you decide to want to use it. Okay, and... yeah, okay, we're fine now. But yeah, the Puff Puff is the battle skill in 7 and 8, where you have a very high chance of charming the enemy with that, much more so than Blow Kiss. You also have Hip Drop, which... There's a stat called Charm, if I recall. The more charm you have, the more this does. And right after, you get a move called Sexy Beam, where you shoot a beam of pure sexiness at an enemy. Again, it's meant to be played for like, oh, we have 3 of these. Do I even want to take the chance here? Yes, I do. I mean, at least a lot of my characters can attack multiple at once, so... assuming we don't stay asleep for long periods, we should be fine. They just love to take my stuff away, though. Either by putting me to sleep or putting up the Black Fog. At least Hypno Whip can still be used. And at least I still have Giga Slash, I guess. You know, for when Hero is able to act. This is lots of experience when this happens. I'm surprised I can confuse them. I'm surprised that works. Oh. I actually got to use that for once. Maybe this is as bad as I thought. I think it's because our luck is so high that the status barely works, so even with 3 of them on the field, it doesn't really matter. Not much. That especially barely hits. Anyways. Sexy Beam just sounds stupid, but it's actually really fun to use, especially since it does such high damage. It's also non-elemental, so you can't really resist it. After that, she just gets a powerful group sleep attack. But then she gets a higher chance of charming enemies, going from 132 chance to 116 chance, which is much better. You also get Pink Typhoon, which is basically Sexy Beam, but hits all enemies on the field, which is pretty awesome. The last skill she gets through Sex Appeal is actually one of her best. It's called Hustle Dance, where she does a very invigorating hustle dance, which heals the entire party. You see, she doesn't normally get a spell that can heal him heal in the slightest, since she is not a white mage type, she's a black mage type. So having any healing ability is great, but being able to heal the whole party at once is great. So yeah, this definitely has its perks. I usually go for whips and sex appeal going back and forth, just because it's amazing. Yeah, that didn't go as bad as I thought it would. Alright, major experience. Level up. Hero gets 9 HP. 22 MP, 8 strength, 4 resilience, 4 stamina, 6 agility, 4 wisdom, 6 luck. At first I wanted to check to see if I got 2 levels out of that, because that level is amazing. Level up. Tifa gets 1 HP, 5 strength, 4 resilience, 2 stamina, 7 agility, 2 wisdom, 7 luck. Level up. Layla gets 7 MP, 3 strength, 2 resilience, 2 stamina, 5 agility, 2 wisdom, 1 luck. Level up. Nino tries her best. Gets 7 HP, 4 MP, 3 strength, 1 resilience, 2 stamina, 3 agility, 4 wisdom, 2 luck. Alright, back to it. So yeah, whips and sex appeal are definitely the way to go if you want to give her the best options here. I'd like to say staves are worth it, but in my experience, not really. Having access to a single target heal with Caduceus and having Kazing later on for revival sounds nice. But that's a lot of points for just 2 skills that I think that you would get a lot of use of. So, probably not worth it. Once you max out your skill points at 100 for either whip or sex appeal, you could probably start putting some into staves, I guess, but... whatever. I'll get into my general feelings in the skill point system once I finish talking about Angelo. So, yeah, I just wanted to check some real quick before I get started with this. Angelo gets swords, bows, staves, fisticuffs, and charisma. Oh, level up. Layla gets 3 strength, 2 resilience, 3 stamina, Kingdom Hearts, 4 agility, 2 wisdom, 3 luck. Yeah, due to how slow the levels are being for Tifa and Nino, I expect Hero and Layla to be much higher than my intended goal. Not much that I can do about that, though. It's not my fault. Their classes are having high experience requirements right now for reasons that escape me. This seems like a very recent thing here, where they're the level threshold seems to be so distant between the two. Like, what the heck? I do not understand this. But anyways, back to Angelo. Angelo can put points into swords, being a paladin type. And the skills he gets are very similar to what the hero gets. Very similar. About the only thing I can notice that's very different is that instead of getting Giga Slash when he maxes it out, he gets Lightning Storm instead. So, okay, I guess. If you want to train the hero in spears instead of swords, then Angelo could put his into swords to kind of make up for that. So you at least have a good swordsman, but it's a very average skill set for him, though, since he doesn't get anything super amazing for some time. Steal some dragon mail. But it's still better than fisticuffs. Much like with all the other characters, he doesn't really get much out of it. They do give him some slight agility by putting 14 points in, so if you want a little bit of extra agility, you could probably do that. I wouldn't bother, though. Instead, if you want a decent secondary, go with staves instead. You see, unlike Jessica, putting points into staves for him really only teaches him magic, and you don't need to have staves equipped to take advantage of that. You get some extra magic that he can use, being able to blind enemies, stop spells, reflect spells, and drain MP from foes. He can use instant death later on, and even use oomph to heavily increase attack power for units. So you have a lot to gain from that. Another good thing about this is that once you reach 65 points, unless you want to equip staves on him, then you've gained the best you can get. Since the other two, that requires 100 points, only works if you have a staff equipped. I would not recommend it, though. After that, we have bows and charisma, his unique trait. These two are basically what he was designed for. Not only because bows are a unique weapon only he can use, but for being a mage type who's good at healing, that's really a good weapon for him to have, since it plays into his strengths. Cherub's Arrow, which he eventually learns, can absorb MP when you shoot enemies with it. And he eventually gains a skill called Multi-Shot. Does 4 random hits for 50 damage per hit. It's kind of like Multi-Fist, really, that Tifa learned right now. So, you know, that's pretty useful. Seraph's arrows are basically a stronger version of Cherub's Arrow to absorb more MP. Oh, this one again. Neat. And once he maxes out 100, he gets a skill called Needle Rain, which hits 4 random targets for 1 damage with a chance to instantly kill. Again, good for metal hunting. But typically speaking, this is just really good in general. He's mainly used as a healing type. And bows have high attack power. I don't know how much the attack power compares to swords, but the utility is where it stands out here. Because swords are really only good for physical damage until way later in the game. And that's basically it. Bows at least has extra utility on top of it. The multi-attack can also be really good if your attack power is high. You can do overall more damage against bosses with it. Very nice. But then we have Charisma. Much like with putting points into staffs, this gives you extra magic to use. Like being able to cure poison, confuse enemies. You get Cuffodle later on, which is good for confusing enemies even more. But he gets unique skills that only he can use. Like Sarcastic Snigger, which reduces an enemy's tension. I'll get more into that in a second. And he gets Angel Eyes. It does 15 to 30 single target attack with a chance to paralyze. I remember it being a pretty high chance to paralyze too. And eventually you get Divine Intervention. Reduces enemies' group spell resistance by 25%. Yeah, weakens enemies' magic defense, which could slightly be helpful if you wanted to make Jessica better. Eventually you also get Band Dance. Prevents all enemies from using dance attacks. That has some slight utility, but I didn't use it much. The next move he gets, though, a Chilling Chuckle, I did. Where is it on this list? Oh, there it is. Reduces enemy group's tension level by 1. Yeah, that could be a bit more useful at times. And eventually he gets Charming Look. 65 to 85 damage to one enemy, attempts to paralyze for a high percentage. Level up. Hero gets 9 HP, 6 MP, 5 Strength, 5 Resilience, 3 Stamina, 5 Agility, 4 Wisdom, 4 Luck. Level up. Tifa gets 5 Strength, 2 Resilience, 4 Stamina, 5 Agility, 1 Wisdom, 6 Luck. Level up. Layla gets 8 HP, 3 MP, 4 Strength, 2 Resilience, 2 Stamina, 5 Agility, 2 Wisdom, 2 Luck. Level up. Nino tries her best. He gets 2 Strength, 1 Resilience, 2 Stamina, 2 Agility, 5 Wisdom, 2 Luck. I mentioned Charming Look, yeah. And eventually he gets Pearly Gates at 100 points. This is a really interesting one. 880 to 210 damage to all enemies, effective against zombie types. But yeah, it's basically a good skill to have. Well, that worked out. So, well, with that, we have covered pretty much my feelings on the characters and the skill tree and its complexities. Ooh, lots of experience. Level up. Hero gets 8 HP, 5 strength, 6 resilience, 4 stamina, 5 agility, 6 wisdom, 3 luck. Level up. Tifa gets 7 HP, 7 MP, 4 strength, 4 resilience, 1 stamina, 4 agility, 3 wisdom, 4 luck. Now let's talk about a new gimmick that the game introduced, tension. When you raise your tension level during combat, a number will go up. This basically acts as a modifier for everything in the game. Like your spells will heal more, your offensive spells will do more damage, your attacks will do more damage, you will take less damage from enemies. Very nice. However, once and you can stack it too. It starts at 5, then the next time it will go up by 20, and then it goes up by 50, and then 100. It's worth noting that once you reach 20, though, it can fail, because getting to high tension is considered really tough. But you are going to be doing a ton of damage if you succeed. Just saying. In order to reach 100, which is super high tension, you actually need to go into high tension about 10 times or so before you can even unlock it. And if you do, you get the special animated sequence where they will glow and take on a new form. Your hero, when he does it, actually gains golden spiky hair like he's a Super Saiyan, so level up. Two strength, 1 resilience, 2 stamina, 6 agility, 1 wisdom, 3 luck. So yeah, obviously the DPC reference is obvious, with Dragon Quest VIII being the first game to properly showcase Akira Toriyama's artwork, and so they wanted to reference that as much as possible. It was seen as a big deal at the time, but I think nowadays people are just desensitized to it, to where, wow, I love that I have that. Now, tension is basically thrown into the game to add a bit more flair to things, essentially. It's mostly useful during boss fights, though, where having high tension can make defeating the boss a bit more comfortable, and him go down faster. Keep in mind that tension only works for one action, though. That's something I forgot to mention. Once you use up that action, your tension goes back down, and you have to do it again. So, depending on the situation, you might find yourself raising tension, but then have to waste it. If a character needs healing, someone's got to do it. And when you do that, it counts as an action. So, there's that to consider. Level up. He gets 28 MP, 5 strength, 4 resilience, 3 stamina, 3 agility, 6 wisdom, 3 luck. Level up. Nino tries her best. Gets 3 strength, 1 resilience, 3 stamina, 4 agility, 5 wisdom, 2 luck. Wait, I just now remembered something. Did I ever equip the Gringham Whip? Because I know I got it, but I don't know if I equipped it on anybody. Level up. I get 6 HP, 7 MP, 4 strength, 1 resilience, 2 stamina, 3 agility, 2 wisdom, 2 luck. So tension, well, hold on, before I forget yet again. Left of its own, wounded by a true whip warrior. Oh yeah, I forgot to equip the thing back. It's not much better than the Demon Spear, and that does have high critical hits against metal creatures. So we'll keep that on for now. Damn. May as well give that to you. How much is that compared to the Sword of Kings? Still better. I'm running into a lot of these nowadays. I also forgot to mention that Dragon Quest VIII was the first one to have voice acting. And let me just say that the voice acting for the first ever, 3D game was top notch. They really went all out with this, and Yangus, out of all of them, all the main characters, was my favorite, just because he certainly had that, Scotsman way of talking that just sold the character. They're doing more damage to themselves than they're doing to me. The voice acting was good. And I don't think there's really anything more I can really add to 8's discussion. And there's a reason I'm putting so much effort into 8. Because, well, after 8, we got a couple of spin-off games, but the main entry, we weren't really sure what to really think of that. We heard it was being worked on, but we didn't really get many details on it. And it left a lot of us kind of nervous. Because it was the first time ever when info about the new game coming out was kept mostly under wraps. And it wasn't until we later found out more info about it that we discovered why. Because the creator kind of knew people were going to have mixed feelings on it, even before he started talking about it. You could tell. Hold on. Level up. Hero gets 6 HP, 7 strength, 2 resilience, 3 stamina, 5 agility, 4 wisdom, 4 luck. Level up. Tifa gets 4 HP, 9 MP, 4 strength, 3 resilience, 3 stamina, 4 agility, 3 wisdom, 4 luck. When he released info on Dragon Quest IX, it was not going to be on the next major console. Instead, it would actually be portable. It was going to be released on DS. And the moment we found out about that, we were like, wait, what? The next mainline game on a portable? What the fuck? Why? Yeah, not many people were excited to hear that. Also, this was going to be a game that, primarily speaking, went back to basics. Yeah, well, it had a bit of a 3D edge. It was not a fully 3D release title, like 8 was. No, this was more of a 2D game. 2.5D, honestly. And it was pretty noticeable. And so, that was already kind of raising some red flags. But, on top of that, not only was it going back to basics, it also basically was referencing an old system. The class system. Not from 7 or 8, 6 or 7. Not those from 6 or 7, though. We're going back to Dragon Quest 3. How fitting. Yeah, it worked a lot like the one from 3, where when you change classes, your level would go back to 1. But only the first time. Like, the game would recall what level you were at a certain class when you changed to something else. If you decide to ever go back to it, you would go back to that level you left it at. So you couldn't level jump anymore from class to class. The game would remember it. Wasn't a big deal, though. But on top of that, they also kept the skill point system. When you would level up, you would get skill points that could be put into various parameters. So, a little from column A and a little from column B here. It was an interesting concept, but unfortunately, probably not the best execution. Level up. Level 64. Well, this is a Nintendo console. 8 HP, 3 strength, 1 resilience, 2 stamina, 4 agility, 2 wisdom, 1 luck. Level up. Nino tries her best. 4 MP, 3 strength. Nice. 3 stamina, 3 agility, 4 wisdom, 1 luck. So, I actually played Dragon Quest IX for the first time, and even in the introduction sequence, I could feel the loss in quality here. I'm not really a graphics nut, I could care less about that, but what I did notice is that a lot of things just felt less than before. Like the character models, the the dialogue, hell, even the narrative, I could feel didn't have that same grandiose as before. And it filled me with dread. I was like, okay, fine. It's gonna be more like the older games. I can deal with that. I can deal with that. It's fine. Sometimes a simpler game is nice. And that's what I told myself anyway. And so when the game actually started proper, and we get to our first town, and you start meeting people, I noticed something else as well. The way you interact with the world was very different. And I don't mean the fact that people couldn't see you at first. No, that's not what I mean. Oh shit, I forgot to talk about a concept that Dragon Quest VIII introduced, and I need to. It's called the alchemy pot. Object that Yuri could put items into it to create better items. And it was a very useful thing to have, since it was basically the only real way you were going to get really good weapons and armor at an early part of the game when they were really relevant and useful. But you could get good healing items this way too, which would make the early game a lot more comfortable to go through when bosses were less of a chore. Healing magic on average just felt unnecessary since you had so many good healing items. At least in the first half of the game. In the second half, things were a bit more questionable, shall we say. But yeah, Alchemy Pot was pretty neat. Because as long as you knew what items could be used to make what, you could make them pretty efficiently in 8. They nerfed it a bit when they brought it back, however, for Dragon Quest IX, you actually needed a proper recipe to be found to make stuff in 9, and I didn't like this near as much. Just gonna throw that out there. It actually made making good items a lot trickier, and you're at the mercy of when the game decides you are able to make it. Level up. Hero gets 5 strength, 6 resilience, 3 stamina, 7 agility, 6 wisdom, 3 luck. Okay, so the alchemy recipes were also a lot more annoying this time around for another reason. When I went out the Overworld for the first time, I noticed that there was a new gimmick. There were little sparkly spots on the ground. And I was like, huh, what's this about? I was like, oh, I got an item? Interesting, okay. As it turns out, these were called loot points. They're different from the sparkly spots in this game. With these, they would respawn. And they were expected to respawn. You see, alchemy in this game required you to collect very specific alchemy components in order to make certain items. And boy, did I realize right away how grindy this was going to get. Because these sparkly spots were everywhere, and you needed to find lots of them to get lots of items needed for certain recipes. And when I say there's lots of them, I mean it. They were all over the place. And trying to figure out what they all were was a bit of a hassle, not gonna lie. But I tried to embrace it for what it was. However, my problems would only go up the further in the game I was. Level up. Tifa gets 13 HP. Kingdom Hearts. 3 MP. 3 Strength. 2 Resilience. 3 Stamina. 4 Agility. 2 Wisdom. 5 Luck. Level up. Layla gets 4 MP. 2 Strength. 1 Resilience. Oh, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. So, 4 MP, 2 Strength, 1 Resilience, 1 Stamina, 2 Agility, 2 Wisdom, 3 Luck. Anyways, my problem should only go up the further in the game I got, because eventually I got to Dharma Temple in said game. They brought that back. And the class system opened up. Well, first, I guess I should talk about the fact that early in the game, you can invite certain allies into your team, like you can in this game. So let's just talk about this real quick. In Dragon Quest III, it was a bit more understandable why it had the system it did. Character narratives really weren't a thing yet. It didn't become a thing until the 4th game. It was understandable. That your party members wouldn't really get much. Aside from the occasional dialogue here and there when you interact with certain NPCs. But they're here mostly for gameplay purposes, not really to have character development. Okay, so I was fine with that in the early games, because it was the expectation of the time. Sadly, this was also the case in Dragon Quest IX. It was completely identical to 3. Your party members are ones you create and invite onto your team, and that's the most you're going to get out of them. They don't actually have dialogue in the game. And your main character is a silent protagonist, so they don't really get a voice either. This became very noticeable compared to the recent Dragon Quest titles. Everything felt flat. Like, you could interact with NPCs and you could get development through them, but that's about the extent of it. I also noticed that Dragon Quest IX's narrative was a lot simpler. Go to place, get Golden Fig, go to next place, get another Golden Fig, etc. They were key item MacGuffins you would collect. And while you interacted with various NPCs and villains to get them back, it still felt bland. This was the next mainline title, but it felt like a lame spin-off. Like, this game did not feel like a proper continuation to the series. It did have some new concepts, like being able to bring a friend along through multiplayer, if you could get it to work right. I didn't know anybody that had the game, so I didn't really get to experience this, but apparently it was hard to do anyway. Not a lot of people in the US really took advantage of it. Oh, come on, game. You know who I want. Give it to me. You were doing so great for a while there. Jeez. I might have to start fighting them just to pass the time. Okay, thank you. But yeah, Dragon Quest IX was a big problem, especially by the end. because I realized just how short the game got. I had collected all the figs throughout the game, of which there aren't that many. I collected them all in about 8 to 9 hours time total. And I come to find out that shortly after that, I quickly was heading towards endgame. And I'm like, you're kidding, right? Like, the game can't possibly be over. I've only been playing it for about 14 to 15 hours. There's gotta be more to it than this, right? Tackle another 5 hours for the grinding I did, and you have about 20 to 21 hours. And I'm like, this can't be the end. Am I missing something here? Level up. Nino tries her best. Gets 4 HP, 29 MP, 3 strength, 1 resilience, 3 stamina, 4 agility, 5 wisdom, 2 luck. I was like, there's gotta be more to this, right? Dragon Quest IX can't possibly be over already. I'm going into the final area. Like, there's gotta be something I'm missing here. Like, was there a lot of side quests I missed? Was there a lot of, like, content that I was supposed to do but I wasn't aware of? Well, not really. There are side quests you can do, but they're very short fetch quest type stuff that usually does not take very long. Sometimes they'll have specific objectives that you have to think around, but for the most part, not that hard. And so I was like, you've got to be kidding. Like, this is so forgettable. And someone said to me one time when I was playing through it and I was at the final boss, bitching about how the fact that I thought this game was almost a waste of time. He said, well, I mean, there is more content to be had. You have the humongous post-game to worry about now. I said, define humongous here. He said, oh, you're going to spend hundreds of hours on this, let me tell you. And I'm like, hundreds? What the hell kind of post-game is this? He said, well, I'll wait till you beat Fuffalo Boss, and then we'll talk all about it. Yeah, I was definitely nervous. Just hearing him describe it, I did not know what I was in for. Basically, you collect these maps that will take you to dungeons that are randomly generated. And, yeah. He was not kidding. You could literally spend hundreds of hours on this. Hundreds of hours wasting your time. Because there's a certain rank to the maps you could get in the Dragon Quest IX post-game, and there's no guarantee what the quality of your map will be till you get it. There are factors that can improve your odds, but there's never a guarantee here. You could end up with a whole bunch of garbage. Which I did, very often. I would heavily end up with a bunch of garbage when it came to these maps. I was fighting bosses. I was getting lots of levels in gold, and on occasion I got to make some very good alchemy recipes. It didn't matter. You see, all those levels and powerful stuff means nothing if you have nothing to use it on, and I could never get anything higher than low tier crap. And I must have done that for over 80 hours. Like, before I just got bored of it, trying to experiment with it. I never got anywhere, and it's because this post-game was largely supposed to be used with multiplayer in mind. Level up. Hero gets 24 HP, 26 MP, 4 strength, 5 resilience, 2 stamina, 5 agility, 4 wisdom, 3 luck. Level up. Tifa gets 6 HP, 10 MP, 5 strength, 3 resilience, 2 stamina, 5 agility, 3 wisdom, 5 luck. Level up. Layla gets 14 HP, 4 MP, 3 strength, 2 stamina, 3 agility, 2 wisdom, 2 luck. Alright guys, hold on. I'm gonna have to get out of this. Wait. Okay, just checking. Wanted to make sure that our saves were being a thing in here. Oh, God, what is with my Switch in this game? I can't just keep it on for a while. Yeah, it's already stopped making the noise. What the fuck is this game? Oh wait, never mind, there it goes. Why does it keep doing that noise? I'm just gonna put it in sleep mode for now while I talk for this a little bit. And if I'm gonna be doing that, may as well charge up my controller while I talk. Okay, so the post-game annoyed me like hell, and I was later told that from the looks of things when it comes to its development, the post-game was probably intended to be the selling point. They had no proof for that, but based on the content in the game, it kind of felt like that was what the developers probably intended for you to spend the most time on. The main game content was pretty bare bones, but the post-game was where it was at for many fans. That could do multiplayer, since if you were doing multiplayer with lots of people, the RNG would be more generous with giving you better maps. This offended me. Multiplayer on DS was already kind of fickle to begin with, but what if you didn't have friends to play with? This didn't exactly have online, after all. Well, at least I don't think it did. And even if it did, I couldn't go online with my DS anyway. So I was just kind of fucked. So basically, this game was very much a uninspired game that I have not played very much. I think I played it like 3 times total since I got it. It was the first time, a second revisit where I tried to give it a second chance to see if there was like just something I missed last time, which yeah, I still didn't care for it. And the third time when I did it as part of my Dragon Quest stream marathon, playing it after 8. All 3 playthroughs, I didn't really enjoy myself too much. Though, when I did the marathon, I at least tried to be as fair as possible. Trying to appreciate it for what it was, not what it could have been. But it didn't really help. There were just too many issues. Case in point, the classes. There are some classes that you can become in Dharma Temple that are locked away unless you do certain quest lines. And some of those you have to wait very late into the game to even unlock. So, a lot of the better classes that you could become just weren't exactly all that useful to me. A couple you have to wait till post-game to even use. So I'm like, who cares? By that point, you're probably not going to be getting much use out of them anyway. Unless you feel like throwing a good 2 to 3 weeks away trying to get really good at the dungeon maps. Yeah, no thank you. So that sucked. I actually cheated with a Game Shark when I played it on emulator when I did the marathon, just so I could get a couple of those classes earlier than usual. And man, am I glad for that, since the final boss gave me some trouble. So I'm really glad I had those extra class abilities to help out. But Dragon Quest IX, not great. Around this time, we also got the DS remasters of 4, 5, and 6. My general thoughts on the original game still apply here, just with much weaker localizations and some slight quality of life improvements. 4 gave one of the characters, Alina, a much higher critical hit rate, kind of putting her in the monk archetype of characters. 5 basically made monster recruiting, which you could do. I forgot to mention that when I talked about 5. You could recruit monsters into your team. They improved on that, letting you have up to 4 party members in your team, something the Super Famicom version did not offer. And they did change some of the monsters around to be more useful. Always a plus. Dragon Quest VI, however, also let you recruit monsters into your team, but when they did the DS version, they changed it to where the roster was cut down significantly, and most of it was just slime types you could put into your party, and that sucked. I have no idea why they changed that. It's pretty bad, yes. Yeah, it's still pretty hot. Figures. But, I think I know one problem, though. There we go. And the Dragon Quest remasters on DS were interesting to experience, but I did not really enjoy them all that much. The weaker localization didn't help, but if that wasn't bad enough, I also really didn't like the fact that they were taking the serious stories they were typically known for, or 4 and 5 in particular, and trying to add goofy puns and stuff to make it more silly, crippling the narrative that they used to be known for. It was pretty bad, honestly. But yeah. Around this time, Dragon Quest went into a bit of a rut. We didn't get many games. We heard about them coming out, but America wasn't getting them. The criticism around Dragon Quest IX, I think, was to blame for this. The Yuji Horii and the development team took the wrong impression from Nine's reception. They thought people just didn't like Dragon Quest again, when that was not the case at all. They just didn't like 9. Dragon Quest IV for DS was also criticized, but that was more because of the localization process, not because of the game itself. But Yuji Horii took it really the wrong way and stopped releasing stuff over here. We were stuck without games. And boy, did it suck. The few games we did get were spin-offs that didn't really capture the same level of quality that the Japanese-only games did. It didn't help that Drug Warrior Monsters Joker came out and kind of changed the Drug Warrior Monsters formula so much, and it was the new standard. They continued with this for 3 whole games, and each one got somewhat criticized for just being weaker than the originals. 1 got released over here. I think 2 did as well, if I recall, but I don't think 3 did. 3 was probably the best received of all of them, but they said none of them really captured the same level of addictive quality that the first 2 did. And they're right. I have indeed haven't played, but I've seen quite a few playthroughs of those games, and I gotta say, it's not for me. I said I'd play Joker 3 Professional, which is a remastered version, at some point, just so I could say I played one of them, and just so I can get my point across. I won't be touching the first 2. I've been told that they're complete garbage, really, when it comes to the monster games, but the third one is at least bearable. So there is that to consider. Now, around this time, Drug Warrior Monsters 1 and 2 did have a proper 3DS revival. It was in full 3D, and the gameplay looked amazing. We were never going to get it. These were pretty massive remakes, and they just didn't see a reason to release it over here when they figured this would just get criticized. Their words, not mine. If fans were starting to get really pissy about this too. They said, well, if you would treat us better, you wouldn't get criticism, now would you? Seriously. Like, we're getting tired of this. Quit blaming us for the fact that some of the Dragon Quest games just sucked over here. It's not our fault. And it wasn't. But it took a while for the series to even consider releasing another major title over here. Hell, Dragon Quest X got released as an MMO over there. That was spectacular, and people who did know Japanese enjoyed it a lot. But when it was released, they didn't consider bringing it over, since MMOs were already kind of a tight competition in the US, and they figured people would just criticize it anyway. It was a dark time for us, certainly. We did get some spin-off games that people did enjoy, though. We got the Dragon Quest Builders games, Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2, which were made by Koei Tecmo, and it shared their Muso style of gameplay, though the second one was a bit more creative in that sense. And they were fun and all. But it didn't quite heal the scar that Dragon Quest IX left behind, though. So what were we to do? Well, we would find out. The success of Dragon Quest Builders and the Heroes games did give them renewed faith that there was at least some audience that cared still about Dragon Quest. Which they should have already realized after 8, but they didn't. So, they gave it another shot. The next major game would indeed be released over here. And it did really well. Dragon Quest XI was a fun game. Although people did notice that there were some issues with it, specifically the soundtrack, where the soundtrack was in considerably low quality compared to the soundtrack CDs that people were getting. Just on, you know. But, they did later release a remastered version for Switch, though, that basically fixed a lot of the issues people had with the game. Faster frame rate, speed up, in battles anyway. And the soundtrack sounded better. They even allowed the Dragon Quest 8 overworld theme if you preferred that over what Dragon Quest 11 had. So, okay, that's neat. And people really loved it, myself included. Dragon Quest Builders even got a sequel that people loved just as much. People loved it if they would have made a Dragon Quest Heroes 3, because 2 was remarkably popular at the time, but it never got one. I think that was more on Koei Tecmo's side, though, being too busy with other projects to put focus on that. And to be fair, I can't blame them. They already had signed on for Nintendo to do games like Hyrule Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors, and another Hyrule Warriors game, and another Fire Emblem title. You know, it was a big thing, so I understand why they probably felt overworked. Now, that being said, I will say right up front that the people behind localization were actually being pushed to be better at their craft, because the stigma of their past localizations was still there, and they wanted to make sure Dragon Quest stayed successful in the West. So I think there was more of a push to upgrade the quality of the way they localized. Because if another Dragon Quest IV incident happened, then they would probably get fired. Mind you, I probably would have fired them after Dragon Quest IV happened, just because of just how horrible it was, but whatever. They did get better over time. I mean, Dragon Quest XI's localization is nothing, and I mean nothing, compared to the Dragon Quest 4, 5, and 6 remasters. I mean, jeez. Like, I didn't even realize it was the same localization team at first. I thought it was, like, someone else, because of just how much better it actually was. So, there is that. Still, all the same, after Dragon Quest 11, I got the feeling we wouldn't see another great game for a while. I just didn't expect it. And then we learned about a few new spin-offs. Dragon Quest Treasures was a thing that they were making, and a new Dragon Quest Monsters game called The Dark Prince was also being made. which is the first Dragon Quest Monsters game, new one we had gotten in years. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. I mean, I love me some Dragon Warrior Monsters, and it doesn't have Joker in the title, so that's already a huge step up. So there is that to consider. And then, of course, we also got Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D, and so I'm like, okay, they're actually doing a great job, actually giving us lots of content now compared to before. I don't think I've heard of a single Dragon Quest game in the modern age that has been JP only. So yeah, really glad for that. People are said, will they ever go back and try to take those old JP only releases and eventually give us a global version? And I doubt it. I really doubt that'll ever happen. I'd be glad to be proven wrong, but I don't think it's going to happen. Ultimately, they are just 3D remasters of old games anyway, and those already don't sell as well as new stuff. So I'm pretty sure they probably wouldn't take the effort to do so, even though I would love it. Dragon Quest Monsters 1 and 2, the 3DS ones, would be great if they could find some way to port it. But I don't think they will. They're more interested in moving forwards, not back. And, well, I say that, but they are doing the HD 2D project. But you know what I mean. Those are more mostly new games than old ones. So yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. I just don't. It also doesn't help that Dragon Monsters 1 and 2 aside, the only other games that we haven't really seen proper versions of are the Joker games. And you really think that fans are going to be begging for that to get a collection? Huh. Yeah, as if. Most fans would probably groan if they decided to release a Joker collection. Just because many fans didn't really care for those. I mean, the third one at least got some praise, but the first two, yeah, not even close. I hear so many people bitching about those. And I think the company knows it too. They're not even gonna touch those with a 10-foot pole. And rightfully so. Alright, so let's go and give this a shot, shall we? Get back to the game. Hopefully my Switch doesn't freak out on me. It's making some noises, but nowhere near as bad as it was. Good lord, that's just terrible what it was doing. But yeah, like I said, like, the series is in a much better place now than it was. You might notice I'm not really getting into Dragon Quest XI, like, with a lot of context, but that's because it's a really huge game, and I don't want to be here for the next 3 hours talking about all my feelings about it. Maybe another stream where I will just spend that one just giving a bunch of my thoughts on it. But not for this one. Okay, I wanted to be really careful there. Haven't done a hard save in a while. Didn't want to get screwed over. Think of the sounds again. Okay, fine. I guess they're really gonna make me leave if I want the noises to stop. That's so dumb. Why is my Switch doing this? Because it didn't start it up again until I... What, does loading the autosave basically load a bunch of junk data or whatever? And I need to load a hard save to get rid of it? I'm just guessing at this point. I don't know why it's making those sounds all of a sudden. Yeah, I've almost gained 20 whole levels since I was in there. Oh my god, game, stop. I'm just gonna turn the switch off instead of just going into sleep mode. What is going on? Can't seem to turn it off. Why is it not going off? Oh, wrong button. Man, I think the switch is just going out. I think that's the big problem. And it's pissing me off too, because this thing would not be cheap to replace. I wish it would have tried to hang on just a bit longer, because that new Switch console will be coming out sometime next year. Not that I would have wanted to get it at launch, because, you know, that thing should be freaking pricey as hell, and we can't exactly afford to just get a new console. Things are too expensive for that. But yeah, this thing is not... I'm not gonna last much longer though. I think it's because it's overheating way too easily. I'm keeping it on for like an hour and it's already getting super hot when you didn't used to get like that. So that's just great. I don't really want to stop the stream right now, but I don't know how much longer the Switch is going to be a pain with this. I don't know how longer it's going to want to be turned off to cool down. So, I don't know. Trying to... Oh, hold on. Okay, so I'm back. I'm gonna eat a little something. May as well. Waiting for this stupid system to cool down. Huh. There we go. that I'm done eating that. I'm just gonna say that this will probably just have to stop as a lesser stream, because I'm gonna just keep it off for a while and then check it later and see if it's still doing it. If it is, then it's gonna suck, man. That's gonna suck a lot, if that's the case. I'll be sure to let you know, though. But for now, thank you guys for watching. I will talk to you later. See ya.